What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and we're here with another tier list. It's that time of the month. We're doing tier lists at the end of every single month for the cards in NBA 2K21 MyTeam. Try to help you out to make decisions based on what's worth it, what's not, who should you use, etc. So this time we're doing shooting guards. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Especially subscribe. I'm trying to hit at least 1K at some point in the near future. Who knows if it'll happen? We'll see. It sounds kind of insurmountable, but, you know, every sub counts. So, anyways, parameters. S tier, absolutely God tier cards. The best of the best right now in 2K. A tier, quality cards, very, very good, but they're not as good as these guys up here. B tier, usable in the right hands. Definitely usable cards for sure. C tier, special occasions, they're usable and stuff like that. D tier, you might want to avoid these guys at this stage in the game. So, with that being said, let's get underway. We'll start with Austin Carr, not Campy Russell. Austin Carr, he's pretty decent. I put him in B tier. He's not a good card, I'll tell you that right now. But with shooting guard being probably the weakest position in this game, yeah, I would say even power forward's better than shooting guard at this stage. Look, there's a bunch of small forwards that can play shooting guard, but we're only going with guys who primary position are shooting guard. So, Austin Carr is probably B tier just based on what we have to offer at this stage. Avery Bradley, throw him in D for now, and the reason for that is just because he's really good defensively, but as you'll see pretty soon, there's guys who are also really good defensively that just do a lot of other things better than Avery Bradley does at this stage. Definitely not someone to use at the end of September, really. Next up, we got Tony Allen, C tier. An elite defensive card, really good high steal tendency, decent defensive badges, but absolute liability on jump shots. Whereas Avery Bradley can shoot a little bit, Tony Allen cannot, but he definitely defensively outweighs Avery Bradley, and also if you rim run, Tony Allen is actually a really good card to have. So I still don't think he's as good as Austin Carr, but he's right there. Next up, we got Bryant Winters. Bryant Winters is definitely A tier. He can rim run a little bit. He can play defense a little bit. He does have a really nice jump shot that's very easy to green. I think he has one of the best jump shots in this game as far as like green window. If you're doing timing, altogether like a pretty solid card. Definitely not like S tier or anything like that, but I do run into him pretty frequently, and he does do a pretty good job. Next up, we got Campy Russell. Campy Russell's okay. He's just basically a worse version of Austin Carr. Like, that's why he's in C tier. We'll say he's better than Tony Allen, though. Like, for sure. But a lot of the reward cards are really outdated at this stage in the game. That's why I waited till the end of September to do any of my tier lists. Just because if I did my tier list the first week this was out, it'd just be filled with reward players who were up way too high. So, Dan Marley. Dan Marley, when you upgraded his badges, is actually a really good sharpshooter card. He's basically a worse version of Bryant Winters. He's actually pretty decent defensively, too. As far as the reward cards, he's actually one of the better ones, period, even counting like pink diamonds and diamonds. So, Dan Marley, I like Dan Marley a lot. I wouldn't use him over the guys in A tier or the guys in S tier, obviously, and I wouldn't even use him over some of the guys in B tier, but he definitely deserves to be here. I actually like him better than Austin Carr, to be honest with you. Next up, we got our first S tier inclusion. That's Brandon Roy. This one's a little bit biased just because I'm a huge fan of anything Tracy McGrady base. Any of his base, any of his SIGs, I'm a big fan of those just because I've been using T-Mac cards for years. Brandon Roy, especially last year, he was a good card. He did have some outdated cards towards the end of the year, so he didn't give a lot of love after like March basically in 2K20. But in the early year, he was one of the best cards, and that stands to be the case now. An elite jump shot, elite driving, dunk. He has a bunch of layup badges too, so he can actually get over centers and stuff like that. A little lax defensively, but at this stage with shooting guards, like he's absolutely S tier. Rip Hamilton, A tier. For sure. Lots of length, all the necessary shooting badges, a nice jump shot. I'm a fan of it. Some people aren't. Hey man, that's just me. I like Rip Hamilton a lot. I use him constantly. If you watch any of my gameplay videos, he's usually involved somehow. Also, like, don't get it twisted. Rip Hamilton, he can play a little defense. You can upgrade some of his defensive badges. He can also drive the paint. He's not great at it. He's not a top tier, rim runner, but he can do it when he needs to. Danny Green. Danny Green's okay. He does play defense, and he does shoot the lights out. He's got decent shooting badges and stuff like that, and you can add a few to him, or. But I wouldn't say that he's really better than either of these two guys. He'd probably be on the lower end of C tier. He might even drop to D tier. Vernon Maxwell. This one hurts. This one literally pains me because this was my guy for the first 2 weeks this game was out. But at this stage in the game, I would say he's C tier. Yeah, at this stage, he's not great. He's small. He can't shoot the three really well. He does have decent badges, but definitely outdated for sure. Sorry, RIP Vernon Maxwell. You were my guy for the first 2 weeks. Deshaun Stevenson, D. He's okay. He's decent, but he's worse than Vernon Maxwell. He's only an inch taller, and he's worse than him in pretty much everything. So I would put him down in D tier. Not saying he's a terrible card by any means. He'd be top echelon of D, but I can't say he's better than any of these four guys. Michael Jordan. He's B. He's a better version of Tony Allen. And, I know that sounds sacrilegious to say, especially because I'm a Bulls fan, and obviously, Jordan's the GOAT. It's not LeBron, it's Jordan. I just want to put that out there. Official YouTube channel stance. But, he can't shoot. He's elite defensively, and if you're rim running, he's one of the best shooting guards available. But at the same point, would I take him over Brian Winters or Rip Hamilton? No. And the reason for that is because both these guys can drive the paint a little bit. Jordan really can't shoot at all. So, we got Doug Collins. No, he'd be down here at Campy Russell level. He's okay. Manu Ginobili. I know this is going to be sacrilegious, but he's not an S tier card. He's an A tier card. He's decent. He's a little bit small. He doesn't really play defense that well. He can shoot pretty decent, but he's basically almost the exact same as Brandon Roy, just with a worse jump shot, worse driving dunk. Defensively, they're basically the same. He has a little bit better passing statistics and passing badges, but that's about it. And to be honest with you, he's basically just a little bit better version of Brian Winters. That's about it. Starter D-Wade, fully evoed. I would say he's probably upper echelon of C tier. I would take these three guys over him. That being said, he's better than these guys. I can say that confidently. He's better than these guys. And especially in TTO, he's really good. But I don't know if he gets to B tier with the guys that we have left. So, Doug Christie. You know what? I'm going to do this real quick just because it hurts for me to do this. But Doug Christie is a better version of Rip Hamilton. I prefer Rip Hamilton over Doug Christie, but objectively, Doug Christie is a better version of him. He's got better badges. He plays better defense. He drives better. He does everything better than Rip Hamilton. I'm just better with Rip's jump shot, and I hit more shots. That being said, Doug Christie does not have a moving three. He does one of those weird pull-up things. Rip Hamilton can shoot the moving three. At a decent clip, too, which is kind of important. And so it's I'm torn here, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. All in all, Doug Christie is probably a better card, just depending on the style of basketball you play. I just prefer Rip Hamilton. So I'm going to keep Rip at B just because I want to be objective about it. But just know, in my mind, I think Rip Hamilton is better than Doug Christie. But I'm rational enough to know that Doug Christie is a better card overall. Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson's actually pretty decent. I'm going to put him at B tier. I actually like Eddie Johnson a lot. He plays really lights out defense. He's pretty fast for the shooting guard position. You can't upgrade his badges. He doesn't shoot incredibly well, but I would say, I got to put him down in C tier. He's basically a worse version of Michael Jordan. He can shoot a little bit better than MJ, but MJ drives harder and plays defense better. Got to be objective here. Gail Goodrich. He's in B tier. He's a little small, but he shoots the lights out the ball. Him and Dan Marley are pretty similar. Dan Marley's a little bit better on defense. Gail's a little bit better at shooting, so I'll keep them right next to each other. The GOAT, Allen Houston. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is he S tier? Why is he better than Manu? Why is he better than Brian Winters and Doug Christie? Simply put, if you can shoot with the stick, Allen Houston may legitimately be the most unstoppable card in this game. And I'll tell you why. If you watched any of my shot stick tutorials or any of my gameplay videos that involve Allen Houston, you can literally use Allen Houston and just drive to the side of the three-point line, shoot a running fadeaway shot with Allen Houston. The CPU will not contest it. Not only that, he'll make it like 75% of the time. It's absolutely absurd. And there's another guy coming up that does a similar thing to that, just not as well. Allen Houston offensively is like one of the fakest cards in this entire game. I mean, he's the sole reason 2K was going to nerf runners, at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure the park had something to do with it, but Allen Houston, the things I would do with this fucking card before were absurd. And now that they changed the shot stick to be back how it used to be, I'm going to start doing them again, and it's about to be super fake. Isaiah Ryder, B tier, he's pretty good. I'd use all three of these guys over him, and that's why he's in B tier. But that being said, if you grind it for him, he's a pretty good card. James Harden. See, I don't like James Harden. That's just me, though. Some people are really good with him. I don't like him at all. James Silas. So he plays shooting guard first. But I play him more at point guard. But I'd put him down here, like upper echelon C tier. Just because at shooting guard, I definitely wouldn't use him over any of these guys. I probably wouldn't use him at shooting guard over like... No, I'd use him at shooting guard over all these guys. He's incredibly fast. He's still one of the fastest players in this game, and he's got a cash mid-range. But with that being said, he's very small, doesn't play defense, and he doesn't shoot threes. That's kind of... Those are 3 knocks against him right off the bat. He's just really fast, and he cuts the lane really well, but he can't dunk either. So obviously he goes down in C tier just because of that. Paul George... Paul George is still B tier. He's actually still really good. He's got that Paul George release, which everyone loves. This version of Paul George can play shooting guard. That's actually pretty clutch. There aren't really that many big shooting guards available in this game at this stage. It's really just guys who are above 6'6". I mean, it's really just Paul George and, yeah, so far, and Rip Hamilton 6'6". So... Not a lot of big shooting guards. That's why he's here. You can upgrade some of his badges, make him a little better. He's got good defensive badges off the rip. You are going to have to do some upgrading to get him up there to be usable against some of the diamond cards and stuff you'll run into, though. Jeff Hornacek. I hate Jeff Hornacek. I really do. I was so stoked when I saw this card because I was like, oh, yeah. He's going to be able to light it up. But he's not good. He's 6'3". He's slow. He doesn't have any of the necessary defensive badges. No clamps. He has no range extender. He's still lacking a bunch of shooting badges, too. I hate this card, and honestly, I would use probably all of these guys over him. Kendall Gill. Kendall Gill's alright, but I'd put him in D tier just because he does lack in some ways. Like, Danny Green's in C tier because he's a situational guy. Like, he can shoot lights out from the corner, and he can shoot threes at a high clip. Tony Allen can play absolutely elite defense. Kendall Gill can dunk a little bit, but that's about it. That being said, I liked this card when he came out. But at this stage, nah, I can't do it. I might have to drop my man Vernon Maxwell. The only reason he's up in C tier is because I was so nasty with this card when it first came out, but he might have to drop down, so we'll see what's up. Mitch Richmond, A tier. And let me explain why. Allen Houston is a better version of Mitch Richmond. Yes, Mitch Richmond can rim run a little bit better, but Allen Houston plays better defense. He has a much better moving three, though Mitch Richmond can also do the same thing as Allen Houston. Just Allen Houston is a little bit better from three-point, which makes him a little better than Mitch Richmond. But these two guys were absolute terrors when this game came out. When this game came out, I would run Derrick Rose. I ran Derrick Rose, Mitch Richmond, and Allen Houston all in the starting lineup, and I used to blow teams out by 30. Now I'm out here struggling because I can't do that anymore. But I might be able to now because 2K brought back the original shot stick. So these guys might be the Terror Twins once again. Carrie Kittles, B tier. He's basically Doug Christie, but just a little bit worse. Still really good, though. Definitely a good card. I actually like Carrie Kittles a lot. He was one of the cards I originally hyped when I saw him in the Ruby reward board. Just because Carrie Kittles is always a pretty decent card in 2K, especially in the beginning of the year. So, Mario Ellie. Okay, I actually like Mario Ellie a lot. I like his jump shot a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and put him right here, and I'm going to move Vernon Maxwell. Ooh, I might move Vernon Maxwell down if it gets too hot there. Just because Mario Ellie is really, really good. He has a really good jump shot, and if we have, let's say, a limited run pretty soon where it's like you have to use emeralds and then like 2 guys who are above emeralds, Mario Ellie is going to skyrocket in price. Him, Danny Green, Peja, they're all going to go way the fuck up in price because they're really the only emerald cards that can stroke 3s. Besides one that's coming up. So we got 2 Klay Thompsons in a row here. First things first, we got the original Klay Thompson. I'd put him at like the best card in C tier. And let me explain why. Is because 2K says they fixed the glitch where Klay Thompson will randomly just start guarding the center, but I have already seen Klay Thompson start guarding the center again. So clearly they didn't fix it. And that is a huge liability. So I would honestly use all of these guys. Granted, Klay Thompson does shoot the lights out and he can drive a little bit. I still would use these guys because they'll actually stay on their man and not have terrible matchups and just get bodied in the post for no reason. So 81 overall, Klay Thompson. He's still pretty good. Him or Danny Green is moving down. I'm just kind of debating which one. I'll probably move Danny Green down. Klay Thompson's a little bit better than Danny Green. He's got a better release, in my opinion. That being said, Danny Green's still pretty good, but Klay's just a little bit better. I think him and this Klay are pretty comparable, so they should be right next to each other. Kobe Bryant. He deserves to go right next to Michael Jordan. They're basically the same. Everyone was really excited when this card came out, and in typical 2K fashion, they ruined another Kobe card. They did. I don't know if he had range, and then they like took it off or something, but I remember seeing it when it first came out, like before the actual packs dropped, and all the database sites said he had gold range extender, which was huge. That was huge. He was like one of the first cards besides Larry Bird to have it, so everyone was very excited. And Kobe Bryant has that. He has that patented 3-point moving leaner. That's real clutch. That would have been, honestly, I'm glad they took it off because it would have probably been game breaking if they left the card the way it was before it dropped. But he's still a pretty good card, but there's so many better options. All 6 of these guys are better than Kobe Bryant. I honestly, personally, would take Rip Hamilton over him. That's just me, though. Ray Allen. He's B tier as well. He has no clamps. He'll get pretty much torched on defense constantly, but at the same time, he makes the most whites out of any card in this entire game. It's not even close. And I don't understand why. I think it just has something to do with his jump shot. He also has a really easy jump shot to time. That's just me. You know what? I can't do it. I gotta put Rip Hamilton up here. I don't even care. Flame me in the comments. That's my guy. Next up, we got Larry Hughes. He's C tier. He's okay. I think all these guys are better than him, but he's decent. Luka Doncic, I think is C tier as well. That's just me. He does have a big frame, though, at the shooting guard position, but I still think I would take Paul George over him, and I think I would take all these guys realistically over him. Jordan, although he can't shoot three-pointers, he can flame mid-range, and to be honest with you, his defense is just ridiculous, and he can dunk better than almost anyone in this game besides like Derrick Rose and John Stockton. So, and then finally we got Marquis Johnson. I'm going to throw Marquis Johnson in B tier. I know you see Pink Diamond and he looks really good, but he only has one Hoff badge, and it's a finishing badge. I want to say it's like consistent finisher or something like that. He doesn't have a lot of shooting badges. His stats aren't that high. He's just not that great of a card, but he's very usable if you have him. I would take all these, not all these guys. I'd probably use him over Isaiah Ryder. I'd definitely use him over Austin Carr and Gail Goodrich, but no, honestly, Gail Goodrich shoots really well. I'd probably still use him, but I'd use him over Austin Carr, I think. Honestly, that's about it. I'd probably use all these guys over him, though. But that being said, that's all the shooting guards in NBA 2K21 My Team. I apologize that the list wasn't very long. There are not very many shooting guards, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Let me know why. We'll have some conversations down in the comments. I try to make these as unbiased as possible, except for Rip Hamilton, who realistically, I don't know if he should be an A tier, but in my mind, he's A tier because he's incredible, but that's just me. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what you would change, what you would keep the same, etc. Anyways, I'll be back with new content every single day. Do not forget to subscribe. Help your boy hit 1,000 subscribers. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. Have a good day.